So the same media that relentlessly calls me a fake news conspiracy theorist just spent the last 2 years pushing what turned out to be the biggest fake news conspiracy theory since Saddam Hussein's non-existent weapons of mass destruction. Who's the conspiracy theorist now? As Rolling Stone's Matt Taibbi writes, Russiagate is this generation's WMD. WMD damaged the media's reputation. Russiagate may have destroyed it. The same media that abuses its platform to deplatform and silence others for fake news and misinformation. When they generated and hyped the largest, most harmful piece of fake news and misinformation for 2 years solid. Facebook, Twitter and YouTube have all vowed to crack down on fake news and conspiracy theories. CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times, the Washington Post and every late night comedian all threw their weight behind a conspiracy theory that caused division across the country and undermined democracy. What punishment will they face? Will their channels be deleted? Will they be relegated in the algorithm? Don't hold your breath. Alex Jones was wiped out for saying something he apologised for. Yet the mass media pushed a narrative that destabilised the nation and could have sparked a war, and nothing will happen to them. None of them will be held accountable. For 2 years solid, every night they told us that the Trump administration was on the verge of collapse.
Breaking news.
A bombshell.
Today is a turning point. Today was historically bad for President Trump.
Today was a turning point.
A turning point.
We're at a turning point here.
The beginning of the end for the Trump presidency.
We have another bombshell.
Mike Pence might have to assume the office of the presidency.
Rumblings of the word impeachment.
Breaking news.
Another bombshell out of the White House.
I believe this is the beginning of the end.
I do too.
It's really the beginning of the end.
He may be feeling the walls closing in on him.
All the walls closing in on him.
The walls closing in on him.
Breaking news, a new bombshell.
One astrologer says this means the beginning of the end for President Donald Trump.
Trump will resign.
Trump is going to resign.
Is this the tipping point? I know we've said it over and over.
You think this is a tipping point?
And over and over.
This is a tipping point.
And over and over.
Breaking news, President Trump off the rails.
It was the beginning of the end today.
The beginning of the end.
Breaking news tonight, new bombshell.
This is the beginning of the end.
The beginning of the end.
The walls are closing in.
The walls closing in.
The walls closing in.
For 2 years solid, they breathlessly told us that the president had conspired with a hostile nation to steal an election.
Russia, Vladimir Putin, Russia hates Russia, Putin, Russian, Moscow, Russian, pro-Russian, the Russians, Moscow, Russia, Putin, Russia against us, the Russians rush against the U.S., the Russians Russian government scheme, the Russians, Vladimir Putin, Russia, Putin and Russia, Moscow, Russia, the Russians, Russia.
And exactly as I said over 2 years ago, it all turned out to be complete bunk. 40 FBI agents, 2,800 subpoenas, 500 witnesses, 500 search warrants, 230 communications records, 50 phone taps, 13 foreign government intel requests. No collusion, no evidence of obstruction. The media lied to you again and again and again. They peddled the biggest fake news hoax in a generation while pointing their fingers at people like me, demanding we be silenced for fake news. The people screaming about Trump working for Russia are the same people demanding social media censor misinformation. Stop listening to these people. If you're an MSNBC viewer or reader of liberal sites on the internet, you were fed a steady stream of conspiratorial bullshit that completely warped your view of the world, all while they purposely excluded anyone who questioned their fraud and profited off of your fears. Many of them are so delusional that even after the Mueller report completely debunked their conspiracy theory, even after being totally humiliated, they're still claiming there was Russian collusion. I'm not owned, I continue to insist as I slowly shrink and transform into a corn cob. Russian collusion conspiracy theorists are the flat earthers of politics. They won't apologize, they won't reflect on their hysteria. Their hysteria will only be elevated. No one will be fired. No one will be disciplined. Are you ever going to have a single moment of self-awareness? Are you ever going to stop being partisan hacks. Are you ever going to realize the reason you lost the election wasn't Russian Facebook ads or Twitter bots? It was because you fielded an unpopular candidate who embodied a neoliberal elitist agenda that the entire world is now rejecting. And after having spent the last 2 years hyping the importance and credibility of the Mueller report, they're now telling everyone to disregard the Mueller report.
I don't care what's in that report.
This is like Brexit all over again. What do you want to do? Keep having investigation after investigation until you get the result you want? The only way the conspiracy theory can survive is by metastasizing into an even bigger conspiracy. Now Mueller himself was part of the conspiracy. Hey Democrats, maybe now drop the conspiracy theories. Maybe drop demonizing half of the American population. Maybe drop the relentless, frothing hysteria and the endless contrived moral panics. Maybe now, I don't know, become an actual political party with policies that actually resonate with the American people. Just an idea. Hey media, instead of abusing your platforms to silence your competition and destabilize democracy, maybe go back to doing actual non-partisan, unbiased journalism. Just an idea. Please click the big red button to subscribe. It really helps me when you do that. And click the bell to allow notifications so you never miss a new video.